Greetings from the Precious Blood Renewal Center in Liberty, Missouri. I'm Father Timothy, and I'd like to invite you to join us as we celebrate this first Wednesday of Advent. Our gospel reading is from the Gospel of Matthew. At that time, Jesus walked by the Sea of Galilee, went up on the mountain, and sat down there. Great crowds came to him, having with them the lame, the blind, the deformed, the mute, and many others. They placed him at his feet, and he cured them. The crowds were amazed when they saw the mute speaking, the deformed made whole, the lame walk, and the blind able to see. And they glorified the God of Israel. Jesus summoned his disciples and said, "My heart is moved with pity for the crowd, for they have been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away, for fear they may collapse on the way." The disciples said to him, "Where could we ever get enough bread in this deserted place to satisfy such a crowd?" Jesus said to them, "How many loaves do you have?" 7, they replied, "and a few fish." He ordered the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, gave thanks, broke the loaves, and gave them to the disciples, who in turn gave them to the crowds. They all ate and were satisfied. They picked up the fragments left over, 7 baskets full. The Gospel of the Lord. How much does it cost us to take care of someone else? How far are we willing to go? How much are we willing to do to put ourselves out there for someone else? In our gospel reading today, Jesus, upon seeing the people, said, "My heart is moved with pity for the crowd." He truly saw and felt the concerns and needs of others. I once stood in the choir facing the congregation as people came forward to receive communion. We were singing, "Here I Am, Lord." I remember looking up from my hymnal and not able to sing another word. That day I saw in their faces the hurt and the fear, hope and joy, the frowns, the smiles, the uncertainty. As the choir sang, "Here I am, Lord, is it I, Lord?" I found myself asking the question, is it me? And if so, how can I ever serve these people? The questions kept flooding to my mind. How will I ever serve someone else? Do I really have what it takes? Even today, I could not sing that song without having flashbacks to that day. What does it mean for us to reach out and help someone else? How much do others expect of us? How much are we called to do? I sometimes dread to hear the words, "Hey, Father, do you have some time to talk?" It's usually because someone needs some advice, some words of wisdom, and may not know where else to turn. It's sometimes scary because I'm not sure what the person wants to talk about or what might be troubling them. I find myself wondering if I can even help the person or not. "Yeah, sure, I got time to talk. What's your concern?" And the conversation begins. I've learned over the years, it might not be my advice or my wisdom that a person is seeking. Sometimes a person just needs a listening ear. I discovered that many times the wisdom or advice the person seeks is within his or her own story. It's just a matter of speaking it out loud and for someone to listen. Sometimes the person just needs to hear it repeated back to them and validated by someone they can trust. In our gospel reading today, Jesus goes on after the disciples and he talk about how they might feed the people. How can they find enough food to take care of them? The disciples say they have some bread and some fish. Jesus, using what they have, it becomes more than enough. What do we have within our own lives that we can share with others? How much does it cost us of what we have or who we are to share our lives, share our time, share some of our resources with someone else? Even if I might not have the words of wisdom or great advice to give, I do have the time to listen. I listen to what the person is saying or not saying. I listen to his or her body language. I know I can't take the hurt and pain away, but I can listen and validate what I have heard. How much am I willing to do to help someone else? How much am I called upon to do? Could I give someone a ride? Could I run an errand for someone to get something they need? Can I do something for another that he or she can no longer do for themselves? How much do we see in the faces of the people around us? How much of their life story do we see expressed in their face? Sometimes it's the hurts, the pains, but may it also be the joys and happiness of life. The small successes, the daily burdens. All of that can be reflected in our face, in our body language, in the very being of who we are. Jesus saw and understood. What do we see? What do we understand? How much do we see in the faces of the people around us? How much do we allow ourselves to see? Might this season of Advent challenge us to see more fully the needs of others and allow us to speak heart to heart. Thank you for joining us today. And I invite you to join us again on Sunday, December 8th for the second Sunday of Advent. Blessings on your Advent journey.